Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, roosters and hens and everything else in between. Cock Talk is back, and my voice sounds okay. All right, I'm good. I'm good to go.
Someone's got some
audio.
That's
my bad. That's me. Let me mute my
Feedback.
phone.
And as always, on time tonight, and that's why no one's here yet. Look at that. But as always, we are the Coop Collective. I am Tyler at MBF Express. We have our trusty producer back to the old laptop tonight with excellent connection, as he told us. We'll see how that goes. Josh,
for now.
Coops.
I'm sure this thing will rug us eventually.
The man with even more theories before the show starts, Blake at Waddle Racing, and Dad keeping his thoughts to himself, Dave at Pecking Order Racing. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
Doing good. Yeah, we'll let Dave bring his on the air. I'll leave mine off the air since they're
just in case. Yeah.
We'll see how this thing goes. Hopefully we don't go like full on Tron like last week, and we're just like
well, there is no Fledge Wedge this week, so we will have no issues.
He broke
with
it.
our
I blame
connection.
Fledge. There you go.
Yeah, it's a Fledge Wedge, 100%, and I'm going to stick with that to the day I die. So
he sabotaged us.
Yeah,
rugged
as usual. So we something happening tomorrow? We don't know yet.
It's maybe open day eve.
Here's what we know: we're 7 of 7 days, presumably, of no issues with ARG running, and man, I didn't see anything go wrong this weekend. They did a quick maintenance this morning. Once again, 5 minutes in and out. This weekend seemed pretty open and pretty easy, as far as I could tell. Right?
Yep. Yeah, we had a stuck race. Thanks, GameStop. But I guess they'll have to sit down as the team in a few hours. It'll be their Monday morning and go through and decide if that was a bug or not, if they're comfortable rolling it out. It might have been Polygon being dumb because it was down again, I think, throughout the weekend after being down for a good chunk during the week.
Right. We did have that, which they did clarify was not their issue. It was even right there on OpenSea saying that there was an issue with Polygon. So besides that, hopefully we won't have too much of that moving forward. But what was that, Josh?
Oh,
yep. You roboted.
Your Delaware network was
round a bit.
It's humming. Let me turn off some things. I don't know what else I have on.
That's my laptop should be doing. I got the green light over here on OBS, so it's not working too hard, it says.
Okay.
Last week gave me a migraine. That was rough.
For this week, yeah.
Still got it.
Still got it.
You're coming in crystal clear, though, here. Last week you were a little fuzzy, so I think we're good.
Yeah.
It's funny. We actually need to start slow because no one is expecting us to be on time. We're like, at this point, at 10:04, we're about 6 minutes ahead of schedule.
Yeah. If you throw a time change, we're an hour early.
Oh, right.
Yeah, everybody's real confused.
Yeah. I don't know. Not sure.
I'm not even.
Daylight saving time needs to go.
I'm not even tired yet.
Whamola's here.
Yeah.
Whamola's always here.
Yeah, he's always here. He's here before we are every week.
Stream looks good. He's our tech guy. Thanks,
He's
Brody.
the eyes out in the real world.
Appreciate it. So, we have a possibility of some sort of open beta beginning. And we will see how it goes. They said they're gonna talk it out this evening, which has already been their evening. They're fast asleep now. And we'll probably get a bit of an update, but we'll see what happens as far as how quickly they want to roll this out. I would imagine there's going to be a bit of an announcement first.
Yeah, because if they're resetting the data, I imagine they're going to give a heads up to say, hey, last day of racing before we're going to reset the data.
Yeah, but
I could see them also even opening it up to a few more of the active, the people that are active in the Discord that still aren't in. But I don't know. It would be interesting to see how they do it.
I think the door's open. The doors are open. You got a bird, you go and race it.
Yeah, this next one is probably that quick. It's just, I think we're all kind of just, even though we've been racing our asses off lately. Well, some of us more than others.
Some of us.
Broke my 1,000 races. Yeah. Way down, but I broke 1,000 races.
Man.
And as we'll find out later, that data might all be trash.
Yeah.
So I'm
About
really
that.
glad I
Your
invested.
data, sure.
My data, yes.
Not our listeners' data. Their data is perfect, special.
I'm paying for the data. Days later, fuck, my data's
I
wrong.
got
Yeah.
I paid
My
a
data got
lot for
wrong.
that data.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to limit myself for that reason.
I thought about it, but my DGen also came out on that one. So I figured, let it ride. Let's see what happens. How many times did I say that I was going to back it down? And then I had to put the disclaimer that Tyler is not a good indication of Tyler's future actions.
Yeah.
So
I had a problem. I had my kids this weekend. My wife was out of town, so my son, who's obsessed with chicken races, was motivating me more to be in more races. So that was not fun. Dad, every time I'd pull up Chicken Derby just to look and see what tracks were up, he was instantly over my shoulder. Dad, you getting into any of them chicken races? Which chicken is Captain Cluck gonna go in there? And it's like, no, Captain Cluck kind of sucks, dude.
Thankfully for me, my son is so young that I can throw on any race and ask him which bird he likes, and we're good to go.
check on.
Yeah, my
Chicken!
4-year-old just points at a chicken and says, "That's me. That's me."
It's my-
Okay.
Okay.
All of them are his.
Yeah.
That's right.
Which
My
color
6-year-old
chicken?
just changes his allegiances as someone takes the lead. So
My son always
wins.
like it'd be 20 meters into the race, and he's like, "Dad, that's your chicken?" Yeah, he's not gonna make it.
trolled by your son.
Yes,
Not gonna make it. He's even
6-year-old
speaking the
is throwing
language.
the NGMIs around. It was great.
Beautiful.
So yeah, that little should we talk about that little nugget that was dropped on us the other day before the dev blog, or
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's at the forefront of everyone's mind here, and it's kind of like burying the lead without going into that first. So go right ahead, Josh.
well, I don't have it in front of me.
Oh goodness,
Good segue.
Hang on,
Good
hang on,
segue.
hang on.
The
Bad
one
segue.
time-
I
The
figured
one
we would
time I'm
just,
like, go ahead, I'll step out of the way.
Yeah, figures. The one time you're not frickin' driving over me with all the wheels.
It's a good thing we have a convenient developer nuggets channel where you could quickly access such information that would be pertinent to you in the future. Join the
Oliver
Discord.
Nuggets.
Laptop's rugging on me. Hang on.
Okay,
Uh-oh.
so
Would you like me to read the comment?
Sure, go ahead.
Oh,
Good,
don't
Dave.
do that to me as I just get it.
Okay, he's got it. Good stalling, guys.
That's how I do. You're welcome.
That's my fault. I should be driving this better.
It's all right. You're good, Bob.
It's all good.
Not that one. Chickens do have a terrain preference, and it is affecting the outcome of races. When we launch the open beta, we will be enabling a chicken's distance preference to affect the outcome too. That was from Deliculum Deli
Deliculum.
at
Deliculum.
54 on the 11th. So 2
So-
days ago.
The basis of where this came from, why this was brought up, really, in the Coop Collective Discord, we have a racing strategy page and or channel, and in there, some people were asking for some qualifiers and whatnot, and Iron Melter went through and just found just about everything that Deli has said about any bit of racing clues we could have, and linked it in there, and we all were looking through it. And then I looked through it, and all of a sudden I send a message to Iron, and I'm just like, I can't help but notice they didn't say anything about distance, like definitively about distance yet. And he goes, yeah, I noticed that too. And that made him go to the main Discord and just kind of throw in hey, well, Dave, did you have the actual question?
Oh, I only have the snip.
That's all right. Yeah. But it was just basically asking like, hey, is there any clarification on whether or not a distance preference is also put in? Because as we looked in the tutorial, it definitively says a terrain preference, but then there's just a bit of a, does your chicken have the stamina to keep up in races? So it didn't definitively say, it intimated it a bit, but it didn't definitively say distance preference. So now here we are after gathering a whole lot of data with open beta on its way, a new PO system to be instituted based on heritages and distances. Thoughts?
Yeah, so and later on in that day, this is kind of how the sequence of events will fold out. Apex reiterated that on public beta, we will have distance preference implemented. Then they will focus on the talents, and the talents will be tested in the beta channel first. I'm not sure how they'll pull that off. Close it out. I don't. Would you open beta and then close it again, or how would you test that? With
maybe there'll be private links sent for
true.
Maybe that'll be the OG beta's role. The closed beta people with the role will still be able to do that. Well, I guess we'll see.
They can certainly still limit it to whitelisted wallets, even if they're
the race in particular, possibly.
Yeah.
True.
They might have to put them under a different tab or something so that people don't get confused and think they can enter, but I'm sure they've thought through that.
Yeah, and here we go. Iron Melter's actually in the chat tonight. He's under as D in the chat, and yeah, this is where this all came from. And it's kind of wild because you can let your tinfoil fly about whether or not this was something they always had planned, or because it's been talked about a lot, it's being instituted. I had a very loose theory that maybe this was the one thing they held back in order to get themselves to a closed beta, just trying to rationalize why they wouldn't have it already.
I assumed it was already in place. Like I had already gotten one of my birds pegged as like 160 track. He's just a one. Yeah. He is.
I saw you there all the time.
160 track
with my 160 track bird.
Yeah,
but what that really means is it's just track.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I got more data. It still doesn't.
But maybe it is 160 still. I don't know.
But I think, and I kind of speculated a little bit about this off air, but I think maybe, possibly, that some of the other traits have something to do with distance or stamina, right? And maybe since those aren't implemented yet, then neither by default, then the distance couldn't be implemented either. There's something that's tying it up, I believe. Otherwise, they would just release it all at the same time as terrain, right? Something's holding it up. I mean, that they were also going to implement as well down in the line. I don't know.
It could have also been something that they hadn't planned on putting in, and then with birds being dominant all around, like some in the A class.
That gets into the idea of possible nerfing, even if it's just a little bit.
Yeah.
So like,
but it's also possible some of them need it.
Yeah,
well, they're going to be like you can't throw win and memory reset and egonomics and chicken 14 on any track, any distance, and have.
They're not going to be nerfed. They're just
30% chance of winning.
They're not going to be nerfed. There's just going to be other pieces that are implemented into it that actually give its bird that true. They're going to be the best at wherever they end up. We know that they're most likely the favorites to be the best, but hopefully some other birds get in there and can compete with them is the point, right?
Yeah, because that's really, we'll show some data that we pulled up later that actually, I guess, you think now is a good time to go over some of those charts, Josh, or should we wait till later? It kind of fits into that point, but we can probably wait till after the dev blog to get into that details and just stick with just the distance right now.
Good thing we didn't have a show plan or anything.
Right, yeah.
I think let's just get into it now.
Sure, let's do it.
Because I think with the dev blog, I think that's going to take us down a different road.
Okay, fair enough.
What was presented to us in the dev blog this week. So here's these.
Oh, Crazy Jay is asking if Josh lost weight. No, he just has the light on properly, so you can see him more.
I shaved my beard off.
Oh, there it is.
That thing was like huge. So my face looked huge.
This is just the size. Josh properly lit.
Yes.
And professional looking.
Yes.
And Dave looking creepier than ever with the stash. The stash has never gone away. It's just in full force.
I mean, it did go away because we had family photos, so it went away. But then, it's come back as fast as it can.
We've just been doing this for like almost 40 weeks, so it kind of just blends.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll get to the one at the bottom in a minute because I know Blake wants to get into that one. That's slightly different. But there was another situation where we were talking out a whole lot of different ideas in Coop Collective Discord and just trying to parse through some data and figure out where we stand on the fact that the best birds are running way more and that dorks simply aren't running, and that we are caught in a bit of the working theory is we were caught in a bit of a situation where dorks can't win, so they're not running. And the best birds are just spamming every single race. Why wouldn't they? They're just printing money at this point. But we needed the data to show us a little bit more detail. So I was in the chat and just asked if anyone could just kind of punch some numbers and just see how many total races have been ran per heritage bird. And then it got crunched down one more time to how many have ran 5 or more races. So that top graph we see right there, created by Ives715, who's been all over this and just like crunching different ways and trying to get us to understand a little bit better, is
this was on Wednesday, I believe, or Wednesday or Thursday, or it was midweek at some point. I think we were talking about this. So these numbers aren't reflecting up until now. Just
correct.
To say.
But races have really slowed down since then.
Right.
So this is the bulk of what we've been looking at. So we have a very strange percentage here. It does not represent the actual rarity at all. And, we know Lake and Velders have been doing well. We know Dorkings have not. And with Sarama only having 2% of the entire field, they've ran just under 130 races. Less than the Dorkings. So as you can see here, it's just a chock full field of powerhouses racing right now.
Do you think all those Saramas get ran once the data really counts? They're going to probably want to keep a lot of those unraced, I'd imagine, right?
But also you'll have to imagine that the numbers should even out more once we get more people added to it as the fields start growing and races start filling up faster. You're going to see more dorks and lacks, and then you're only going to get 1 or 2 sultans in the race here and there.
Because we still have this. This was data pulled down by Ives as well. There's still half of the 100 Saramas have never raced yet. So there's still plenty of big boy birds that haven't raced either. But the numbers should even out.
From only 15.
It's interesting looking at this because from my coop, my only bird that I've actually got to A is my 95 Dorking. All my other birds, I haven't even been able to get to that A class.
He's a burner. Is that Charles?
No, it's unnamed. It's it's a CK47, just a 95 Dorking. Yeah, nothing special, which is interesting. But that's why, looking at this chart,
I do think the biggest thing for me that this chart tells me is that a lot of what we're looking at right now is not representative data of the entire population.
Right.
So it kind of for me, looking at this chart came out of conversations about, well, we need to tweak this or that in the class system. And I'm like, we need to see some of how these things behave when we actually have a bit more of a representative population running. Making radical changes now because most races are, more than half filled with high-end sultans and Saramas. It would be overly reactionary, I think, because you can't throw out dorks because they're just not running. Well, because the fields are too strong.
What if they have a distance preference, right? And so we're not seeing that because that's not included in there. What if they're better middle distance runners or whatever it may be, right?
And we might see that, right? We might see that a Sarama is the most versatile, put them on any terrain and they're going to hold up okay, but a dork might be the most specialized. And
I think the way that would work out best is if the heritages have a certain distance range that they're better than majority of the other heritage. You know what I mean? Like you say, even with Saramas possibly on, a Sarama's worst track, but better than the other 2 heritages, by a margin. But then it's scaled the other way for the other heritages. You know what I mean? Or maybe that's random in a sense.
It's like a thoroughbred and a quarter horse, right? Yeah. I mean, there's different skill sets for those types of breeds.
Because there has to be a way for the Dorkings and the lower end Lackenvelders to to be well and do good, because that's
at least some
really
of them.
rough.
Right? We don't need every 94 and down dork to be good, but you need enough of them to be good to make someone buying a floor bird think that maybe there's a chance that they can at least churn out a positive ROI down in C class.
Yeah, it's possible that you can run 20 races with one bird and not find yourself in any podiums. Like, this is just that kind of game. There is a bit of skill involved, especially when they add into distance and we start getting really into having to crack out this data. But it probably shouldn't happen, because if you're losing that many, you should be dropping. In theory, as long as you're not getting 5th and 6th all the time. So that's really what we're at to. We don't need to make every bird good, but if your dorkings have no chance of winning, then that's the biggest population. And it's a real problem. Even like the 94s and down are a larger population than the Sultans and Saramas put together. So like they have to have some avenue for working, and against each other, they probably will.
Right.
I mean, if there's 12 dorks in a race, a dork has to win.
Yeah, and this is a tiny sample size, and it's just a nice plug for him anyway, because we're going to be doing stuff with him. At Final Ross Battle on Twitch, Ross in the Coop Collective Discord ran a fun night on, I think it was a Friday night or Wednesday. I think it was Friday night. It was right before they shut down for the weekend, I think last week.
Yeah, they kept it live just long enough for Ross to run his stream.
So he went in there and he was just like, all right, people, things were feeling really slow. There was no real competition to get in. So whenever he called out a certain race, there was like 10 of us in there that all joined it. So, and they were C races. So most of the birds were either low-end Sultans or low-end Lax and Dorks. And, I had a few birds that were garbage. I couldn't get them to win anything. And they went wild in those races. Ross got his first win in those races and his first podium. He was struggling to get a podium with his, I think, 91 Sultan. So what really we saw there in a very small sample size, but still, it wasn't a loaded field. It was a little more of these are the birds that should be here, all facing against each other. And the parity started popping up a little bit more like you think it should. So that gave me a bit of hope. This chart gives me a lot of hope for anybody who's frustrated with their dorks and frustrated with their low-end Lakenvelders, and hell, frustrated with your low-end Saramas not figuring it out right now. Like, there's a lot of us that have Saramas.
Even your high-end Saramas.
Yeah. You guys are your C-class Saramas.
I think
I got
essentially
a 97 Sarama in C class. My name's Tyler.
I have 2 at one point. This beautiful bastard was somehow in C class for a hot second. 97.
Yeah. You know who's not in C class? Happy birthday.
Oh no. Happy birthday is my most negative ROI bird.
Well, because you keep running him over and over.
Yeah.
And they have the most 4th and 5ths I've ever seen. So they're on the bench for a little while.
Yeah. Riding
kicked out of the logo, kicked out of the coop.
Just for a bit. No, still in the coop, just out of the rotation for a little bit. I would be, if I didn't run that one and one other bird, I'd be even. So I really wanted that bird.
If I just stuck to running Casey Jones all the time, I'd be up doing all right.
Right.
And this is why I am up. Because I ran one bird over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so. I think there's hope. I think there's
legitimate. It's. I think the fact that really we're only seeing 25% or 30% of the actual end game, right, is a good sign for all those people that have been struggling. It gives us hope.
These numbers showed us.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying sometimes your eyes see something and you hope the data follows. And this did exactly that. It showed us exactly what we thought. There was way too many Saramas and Sultans in these races. And when it looked like there was 2 and 6 Saramas, there were. And that's exactly the problem.
The thing is also to think about, like, I've had two birds that I've been trying. I have 3 birds that are in A class that I've been trying to get them out. And every time I get into an A race, it's usually about the same 7 to 8 chickens running in the race. And
There's
it's like, all right,
4 to
who's
5.
going to win this time? Is it Win? Is it Economics? Is it Blue Devil?
Blue Devil. I was going to say that one. Is it the frying pan? That goddamn frying pan?
Is it Chicken 14?
I think Chicken 14 has a name now.
I mean,
is Chicken 14 named now? I haven't noticed.
Not sure.
I haven't lost to him since he got named. So
that's a good bird. That's also the bird that GameStop's like, hey guys, we should film this race. It's like, yeah, I bet you want this race filled.
I'm gonna run away scared.
Hey, all you plebs, put your money in here so I can take it.
can't blame him. I mean, he's got a hell of a bird. So I mean,
It burns up $1,000. I'm not trying to make it 1,001.
Yeah.
No, but it's almost fun. Like that's the other thing though, is like the competition is stacked, and these races that keep getting run over and over again are really a lot. Like in the A class, it's a lot of the same birds just going at each other and trading ETH back and forth. And
Yeah.
but it's good competition. I mean, it's the best competition. It's the competition you want to race against. I mean, it's crazy that I have a bird that is actually competing in A when I want him to declass because he's a monster in B, but like it's almost fun. It's like all right, I got a little rivalry going on with some of these birds now, and I'll always keep an eye out for them.
I don't want it.
No.
Not the naval games too much, but literally my favorite bird, the one that's giving me actual ROI, has 16 wins, 16 number ones in B in 49 races, 32% percentage, 51 show. And then as soon as I go to A, good God, first off, it's 121 races in A, 2% win, 14% show. I'd just prefer that bird not be an A bird if that'd be great. I really prefer that.
Dude, it's like
getting crushed. Like
what sucks is when you have a bird that is awesome in the B class, but it does hang in A. Like
it hangs well enough, yeah.
My Black 94 Sarama just cannot get that bird out of A. It finishes 8 to 5th, like literally every single race. And if it's in last, it will run its ass off till the end to get to 7th or 6th.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, motherfucker.
So I guess we'll just keep sprawling and go there for a second. Do you guys feel we need to open up the declassing and make it 8, 9, 8 down and 5 up, and just make 6 and 7 be neutral? Do we feel like that needs to happen, or does that make it too easy?
Yes.
The only fear I have about that is then, like, are you going to shoot up every time you win? Right? Like, if suddenly
what if you just made like 10, 9, and
should.
8 all 1?
Well,
all -1, not like, so you're not adding it anymore. It's still +4, -4 at the top and bottom, but you just have -1s in more spots.
Yeah, because if it became +6 for winning,
that would be
too much. Yeah.
it takes nothing to get to 60 all of a sudden, right? And you get one podium in A class and you're stuck.
Yeah, so the only real change is 4th and 5th and 8, 9 being +or -1. That's the only change.
What is win and economics' PO right now?
They're glued to 80.
Like 80, yeah.
So that's the max?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that cap needs to go up higher to 100, right? At least.
So,
and then that way they just stay up there. And other birds get up to that 75, 80 range, but they also can drop down, right? But you ensure that those high end birds are always going to be at the top. You're going to have some birds that are good, but this is why I think we need 5 classes. I think that would, I know Dave hates this. This is the,
I just think we need more than 2,364 birds racing on a regular basis.
We do, but even with 2,000, even with what we've got now, you're still seeing birds in the C class that should not by no means be in C class.
Yes, but we're also seeing races not filling.
Well,
and that's the other side of the argument, right?
I kind of like my Sarama and C, not gonna lie.
Like, as much as I want parity,
fine down there, I think.
Well, in the same vein, like I only had 39 40 or whatever it is, like 45 races for my B bird, and it's won 16 times. So yeah, every time I get it in B, I'm pounding the races. So it's the same idea. I'm not stuck in A like the other one. So I think in the end, we just need more data, more birds before we touch too much.
Honestly, no, I would agree. I mean, I agree with that too, but I think eventually the writing's on the wall.
I think it's a good chance.
And then we'll start talking classes.
Right.
Again, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I need more. I want to see more wallets and talents. And then I'll jump on that train with everybody.
And if we've got 20,000 birds on the racetrack and races are filling at a nice steady clip and you're not, waiting an hour to join a $2 race, because that's just where we're at on a weekend evening, then let's talk about more classes. But right now we've got to make sure we have the demand to fill enough races in all of those classes so people aren't stuck in a $7 race for a day.
to play devil's advocate though, if they were
Don't advocate for the devil.
if they were class 5 races, they're probably filling because those people are willing to get into races that they think they have a shot at winning. If they're stuck in B, or some birds are stuck in A, as you guys have said, you're not going to race some of those birds, right?
Well, I think it was Hems that said like maybe we should have a super class. And
I agree with that.
Maybe A should be the super class, and we just
sure, whatever you want to call
at
it.
a D.
Maybe that's 80 to 100.
Yeah, something like that. It's an interesting concept because if there are birds, that's the thing. You don't want to nerf birds, and you don't want to change things too much. There might be some birds that just naturally rise higher, and those ones, let them fight each other as they probably should.
Yeah, I don't think we should nerf them either. But if you can class the birds together that should be closer together, you're going to get better competition. And the only way to do that, look at boxing, for instance. Boxing has more weight classes, but at the end of the day, you get some boxers that are really competitive right at that certain weight. Others can bounce around up and down through certain weight. So I just think 3 is too, which is good for now.
Honestly,
3 is good for now. But I think as we do expand, we're going to have to see more. And I think then when you do see that, races are going to fill quicker because people are going to be in classes that they feel comfortable running those particular birds on.
Yeah. And when I'm anti-classes, like anti-more classes, it's just right now. It is not in the long term.
Yeah.
3 might even be enough for this original 30,000 birds, but it's not going to be enough when we have breeding and we get another 30,000 robust chickens looking for places to belong. We're going to have some form of splitting or additional classes or otherwise because nobody's buying in if your bird has no prayer of winning. It has to be a lottery ticket at least.
Some bit, yeah. It has to at least be something you do on the weekend for fun to try to win a couple bucks at the very least. Yeah, you're right. Or enter into tournaments and think you can pull stuff off like that.
That's gonna break a lot of it up because you can see 93 and under tournaments or whatever, dork only, right? You're gonna see a lot of variance in that.
Skillflex brings up a good point in the chat. The problem I have is I get too excited when I find the right track, and then I get to A class without knowing the wrong track for my chicken.
And this actually, funny enough,
problem.
Wrong tracks.
Leads kind of nicely into her chart at the bottom here. The little ballad that made this chart here about times on the bottom. That I know that Blake wanted to talk about a little bit, and just
this is
how
good for everybody's out there team time.
Yeah, and just to break down the fact of like, do these things matter between class and class? Like this, if you're doing well on B class, does it translate to A? We don't know yet. We still need more data, but the times are something that we've tried to use a little bit to try to figure this off. And I mean, I'll let you guys start out on times. I have big feelings, but this chart's.
I think at the end of the day, they're probably going to matter. Again, I think right now times don't really matter because distance doesn't matter. So you're going to get a variance of those times just based on the randomness factor of your birds running. I mean, I want to see just specific terrain only charts and see kind of how those compare, not time wise, but certain finish wise. Right. And let's see that broken down because right now, once we know that distance isn't even in the equation, that's just skewing the data, right? It's just adding and muddying kind of the waters of data that doesn't matter.
Yeah. I think when distance is factored in open beta, then if you start seeing, okay, my bird's putting up a time that sort of resembles the best B class times on this track.
Right.
Maybe that's going to tell me, okay, I got to keep looking at this bird in this situation. But the way things are set up right now, I haven't looked at a finishing time for any of my chickens in the last 2 weeks because I've made my decision on what it means to me right now. And that's nothing. I care more about finishing position than anything else in the data.
See, I've done the opposite. And I'll tell you why. Because your bird finishes 6th in an A race, if it runs at 200 meters, let's say on dirt, for instance, if it runs a 116 but finishes 6th in A, you drop that down into B. Well, I'm pretty sure 200 meters on dirt, if he can come close to that 116 again, he's probably going to finish podium on B.
I've got
You see what I'm saying?
I've got a pretty wild race that would make your mind melt from the times that it put out.
But that with the distance not counting, that throws my time theories off a little bit. So listen,
this was a B race, 160 meters. I think it was snow. The winner, Vitalik Buterhen, finished with a time of 1 minute 39 seconds and 7 tenths. The last place bird finished with 2 minutes and 6.
Jeez.
What was that on what? What was the
on
distance?
a 160 snow.
Okay,
B
so the
class.
average time there is 101 seconds. So what's that?
So
minute 40. Yeah.
Yeah, so
41. So it's a little bit faster. And then
it was
2 minutes?
so bizarre. Like my chicken was in this race and I finished third, and first and second crossed the finish line. My bird wasn't on the screen. And then all of a sudden, here comes my bird trucking along in third place by himself, crosses the finish line, goes off screen, and then there comes fourth place crossed, and then 4 seconds later, a group of like 6 chickens crossed. So it went 1 minute 39 seconds, 1 minute 41 seconds. And then my chicken in third, 1 minute and 46 seconds. 1 minute 51, 1 minute 55, 155, 155, 156, 156, 159, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. The winner had 1 minute 39 seconds. That is 20 seconds difference from first to last.
And that might just be a bird that doesn't belong in that class.
It was
might have been an A class bird.
97 Lackenfelder with black hole.
Mm-hmm. Was it mine?
No.
No, yours wouldn't do that.
That one sucks.
Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Still trying to figure it out. Oh,
I had to
goodness.
say it.
Yeah, I know.
Didn't have to.
I did
It's a
have
family,
to.
it's a
Thank
family
you.
show.
No, it is not. Read the title. But yeah, that's probably the largest gap I've seen in the races. I mean, I haven't obviously been paying attention to every single race.
Have you checked all the races?
I literally was watching that race on screen, and I'm just like,
checked all the races.
Where the hell are my birds? Where are the rest of these birds? And it's like seconds of nothing on the screen, and then here comes a bunch of chickens, and then that's kind of it. Like, oh no! Like 5 seconds later, here comes some more chickens.
I actually hate that because I'll look away for a minute and I'll come back and I'll be like, "Ooh, I got 11th, nice." And then I'm like, "Why didn't it end?" Like,
isn't that
you bastards?
Isn't that? But aren't you guys leaning more towards that times matter with what you're saying though? If that big of a variance, that means finishing position didn't matter in that race, right? If there was a 20-second gap between, or even a 5-second gap between first and second, finishing does not matter in that race.
So my thought on this, as far as times mattering, really is, I think I said this already, but I don't know, might have said this before we started the show, is if you're lining it up dirt 100, and you look at every single dirt 100, and that's it, then times might matter.
Yes,
because
of course.
Otherwise, if you cross it over at all, I think you're really blurring.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, dirts are only relevant when you're specifying that specific distance and terrain. And again, distance being that it doesn't even matter in the end equation, again, randomizes those times a little bit to where they don't even really matter right now. Again, that's up until this week. I was under the assumption that both terrain and distance mattered, but now that that's not the case,
I think Josh watches.
Stop watching your races.
He watched
I'm
his
not
race.
watching my race. I cheated and went and looked at the results.
I do just want to say though, the one
Attaboy.
thing that my brain really appreciates in this chart is that it appears that they paced the tracks correctly. It's like track goes the fastest, and then road is next, and then grass and dirt you can run pretty fast, but
very much
snow and sand you go slow on. That feels nice to my brain.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel nice? It's watching a 200 sand.
Yeah, nobody wants to watch
those talents, man.
This is interesting from a tournament standpoint, because if you can't just have 100-meter tournament. It has to be specified. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
And
it's got to be
so-
100-meter track or
Yeah.
100-meter snow. Like you can't just be.
And we might
Take
even have to
anything.
be like, they probably don't differentiate between the actual location. That's probably just there for fun. But we'll keep an eye on it just to make sure that there's no
But
advantage.
how many meters above sea level is this track? Because
How's the oxygen
my
level?
bird likes to
Yeah.
run at altitude.
It's the southern hemisphere. No, not for my bird. Upside down.
He goes clockwise, not counterclockwise.
Right.
I mean,
But anyway, yeah, interesting. It's I like seeing it like this. It's very neat, and I'm very, very interested to see what this stuff will look like after we get some more data. And in the end, no matter how much we throw our opinions about what we think this data looks like, it's just a partial. And I'm really curious
Yeah.
to take this data with the new stuff we get after a suitable amount of time, and then look at them together side by side and see if much changes. Since as soon as we get the new pecking order and distances put in, this all is interesting data that we can't ignore, but don't take too much from anything we've gathered right now, because, oh, by the way, as Iron Melter said in the chat, talents are going to change everything, and that's up for debate too, but they're going to do something, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and there's certain things that haven't stood out in any way that we kind of speculated would stand out. And
When robot dominance.
When black
Right.
chicken robe dominance.
Even though
I-
I'd like to not see diamond hands on the racetrack more than I have to.
That would be nice. That's
Well,
another
like,
thing. Like, I shouldn't see a robot every 5 races. Like, it's just
It's the
Let
same
alone
one. It's
two
diamond
in one
hands.
race.
that should have been it right there. Like, yeah, I should have like that should be happy.
There's 100 robots and they're
100.
all in your race.
That's funny.
Yeah, but I'll always stand on that. I know some people were freaking out about cosmetics. I think GameStop was trying to sell all of his cosmetics, and it's like, nope, we're gonna hold off on that for now. I just don't personally. I'll stand on this until I'm proved wrong, and when I'm proved wrong, I'll be happy to admit it. But why give a 300 rarity or better if it doesn't mean something? The cosmetics we're gonna get airdropped to us don't mean anything. So they're airdropping us cosmetics that don't mean anything. So why do these cosmetics don't mean anything? I'm just not buying it yet.
The traits.
well, especially if they're going to drop them for the same price as the other ones, right? That's what I mean. If they're randomized, right? I think
Right.
that the way they did all the drops, they have to mean something.
Right. And Dave said traits under his breath, but it should be said, I'm talking about the cosmetic traits, not the
Yes.
cosmetics are actually getting
Yes.
dropped.
Yeah.
the
Yes.
stuff that's
Yeah.
built into your bird.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Like when will my classic matter?
Yeah.
Because he's a 93 dork, and right now he runs like a 93 dork.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's not talk
Jackie-
about classics.
Jackie Daytona back here.
Classic vampire.
She's been on the bench forever, and I pull her out.
So
of the
who
race
would win
once
a
in while.
race out of our logo birds?
Oh, mine.
Because I think yours?
Guys, mine's a 90
cheated.
dork.
Casey,
cheated.
but I will
Cheated,
say
yes.
this: Casey Jones
Tyler
was my
cheated.
profile bird at first, and then Jackie took that podium. Casey
Oh,
might be
okay,
back
yeah.
up there.
I have stayed strong. I have stayed strong.
Sorry,
Is that,
Wally.
Char-
by
is that
the way.
Charles?
Yes, and Charles is average. He is nothing special, but
David
Yeah.
doesn't
Still.
even race. That's not what he's here for.
Fledge
Nah.
says they look really cool. Good enough for me. Well, not good enough for me, Fledge. Not good enough for me. Get your wedge out of here. He wasn't here when I was fudding the Fledge wedge again.
They look really
It's human
cool.
late.
If
do
you
look
bought,
cool, you're
if
right.
you bought them at market value, looking cool is not good enough for a black or a robot. Even if you got them
Oh.
during Cuppy Christmas, it's still probably not good enough if it just looks cool.
It's fair. All right. So I think we got everything out there we wanted to about race theory and where we're standing now.
Yeah,
Probably
your data is useless. Go race some more.
I wouldn't say totally, but
Hopefully, you've narrowed down track like surface
terrain
preferences on your
preference, yeah.
birds, because that's the biggest. That variable is pretty isolated right now, and it'll get less isolated when they add more things.
right.
So this was your best chance to figure out surface preference.
And I still think a lot of what we have here will be useful information. It's just not the complete story. And we know that. So take a deep breath and let's get ready for something crazy tomorrow, hopefully.
yeah.
Devblog?
Devblog time.
Ooh, Fledge said, what would Dave know about looking cool? You don't think his mustache is cool?
Burn.
Oh my God.
That's
Okay.
okay.
But on Dave. Well,
I don't
fuck
need
Dave. That's all right. Crazy Jay said, I don't want to see Tyler pounding anything earlier. Meanwhile,
He's not
he's
wrong.
listening to a show that I talk a lot, and it's called Cock Talk. So I think the problem's you. Moving on. Dev blog.
Oh, the dev blog. As they say, a blog in the hand
you.
is worth a bird in the bush. Or
Is it?
something like that.
Oh, now we're getting.
What's a bird in their bush? What? Ellie, it's a
funny
children's
one.
show.
This week has been another great week of racing. There were some issues yesterday evening due to problems on the Polygon network, but they have been resolved, and any knock-on effects they had to Chicken Derby have been cleared. Yeah, they had to shut down races for about an entire almost a day, and I know like a lot of us in the chat were like, I didn't realize how much I needed this until I didn't have it.
Yeah.
You want me to do my
took it away
day
from me. I
job?
need it back. Been just going ham all week, and then I've got nothing.
Just needed a
Give me
quick
that
race on
itch.
my lunch break.
Yeah.
Right. So that they got that. Polygon seemed to have gotten that resolved. Everything has been running smoothly for the most part throughout the weekend. This week they broke two big milestones in racing without $250,000 given in prize money, and over 5,000 races ran.
We can't follow along with you. I think you're off.
Big money.
Scrolled too far.
Rip. Many people
Get out
have
of
been
the-
asking about open beta, and we've had several new users pop online this week asking about racing. For those who have kept an eye on our roadmap, you'll see that we're currently on step 5 of 6. And as of today, I believe it should be 7 of 7.
7-7. Yep. Well, in
Depends on
theory,
whether they call
in theory,
anything a serious bug.
right?
Yeah.
It would be the 7th day if everything's good.
Yeah, I think GameStop is just a minor bug, but it's up to them.
Well.
They have it listed as 6 of 7 right now. They have it listed at 6, so they did not give it today yet, but we'll see.
But they haven't reviewed yet.
Yeah,
Right.
correct.
Possibly. It's not Monday morning yet
Yep.
for them.
So all they needed was 2 more days, and they'll be ready to launch open beta, which we assume again is tomorrow. Which unfortunately means that we'll have to let races run this weekend. Hope your chickens are up for it. Oh, they were. Yeah, definitely. I had not wasted, but I got a lot of data.
I think I'm ahead on the weekend.
Don't you mock me.
My kids sure had a good time. We've been doing
That's
a
what
lot of
matters.
prep work for the open beta launch. Here are some of the features to look out for very soon. Sharing links for races, lifetime winnings added to my Coop page. That'll be cool. Improvements to the game performance. I'm assuming that would be for video performance on any end. Hopefully they get the mobile side up running a little smoother down the line.
Yeah, cut those loading times.
Yeah.
The new homepage on chickenderby.com and a larger variety of sub 500 races. $5
Sub
races. Jesus.
$5, $500.
$500.
Ooh.
We haven't mentioned it for a few weeks now. Work is still continuing on the metaverse. Our current plan is that the metaverse will have 7 territories, one themed for each terrain type, and each territory will have around 1,500 pieces of land that you can own. You will be able to decorate the land with certain items and awards, or even place a building there for your crew, a small number of select friends to hang out in. Plus, there will be public spaces such as shops, a bar, and a stadium where you can meet other users and partake in certain activities. That is everything. Enjoy the weekend of racing. It was good. I want to hop back on that little paragraph there, though. Winland?
What
Winland.
land?
Yeah, that started a little bit
1,500
of a.
plots for each terrain. That's
Ooh.
interesting.
So 10.5 thousand pieces of land.
Yes.
Yeah, and that started up a bit of a discussion in the main about how exactly those should be given away, or not given away, but dropped
Sold.
and
Sold.
and
Sold.
put out. Sold, of course.
Yes.
But
I'm
you
pretty
know,
sure
but-
Apex said sold.
No, he did. But
Actually,
when I
I've,
said, yeah,
go ahead,
no, but
keep
I
talking.
just meant how they should be distributed is really what I was trying to say. So the idea is that they did have a spot in there where they said, was it in here? I don't know if I zoned out and missed, where they said that it'll be part of how their marketing is going to work.
Nope, I'm
is there
pulling
going
that
to-
right now.
Cool.
Yeah, this is an
Okay.
Apex comment. He dropped a short novel.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's worth reading before I get into anything here.
Yeah. So Apex dropped this later on, kind of after questions kind of stormed in on the land and, how they were going to go about the drops of everything. Cause I believe it was mentioned in drops, and part of our marketing strategy is doing drops, as they generate lots of interest and are also offsetting the costs that come with the marketing campaign. This will only add more fuel to the fire, so definitely not a bad thing. We're going to also we are also going to do airdrops to our beta users and to chicken holders. So that's something we are working on as we speak. Since game development is a pretty complex process, we have had some struggles in the beginning, especially with the Web3 financial infrastructure, excuse me. But you can't rush something that should last for decades. I love that line, honestly.
Decades.
It's gonna be a lot of cock talk episodes.
When kids taking over.
Yeah, episode 400.
Now we are reaching the end goal of our closed beta and launching the public beta, which will bring in more players, since users who purchase chickens will be able to race them instantly. This will be a game changer. Remember, guys, you are the early adopters. You stood by us patiently and trusted us to deliver. Now we are finally ready to launch to the public, and we are not stopping here. This is just the starting point. Boom.
Mic drop?
Suddenly. Is it suddenly yet? Not quite.
Suddenly. It's almost suddenly.
Not suddenly? No.
Crowd goes wild.
So
I do appreciate just the candor of admitting kind of the early struggles with getting things where they wanted to be. I don't think they wanted, that month where we didn't race, or,
right.
The fact that we couldn't have an hour of racing without something going down or breaking. Like, it's good that they see that, and hopefully, the patience of the group that have been here either since July or August or whenever you might have bought in, like that. We've been waiting a lot of time for this to take off, and hopefully, there are some rewards for that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, there's been, there's been a decent chunk of the community that has been in that chat every single day since day one, and they're still there, waiting, excited, ready to frickin' get all their birds out there. So I mean, I think it's pretty awesome to get that insight from the team, and just to know that it hasn't gone unnoticed, really. And the fact that we've been out here saying since the beginning that they read the chat all the time. They've been taking input from the community on how this game should work and how this game should be played out and how this game should go. And it's really turned into something pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty unique. I don't know exactly how often the devs will just kind of roll through and just flat out read the chat and actually take advice, or at least consideration from the people that have dedicated their time to it. But it's pretty interesting to know that we have even some semblance of a say in all this, which is good. And does that definitely popped up, and it started a pretty not heated but interesting conversation about how exactly these this land should be distributed and how it should be given out in a way to people that are here already, or should it be open to everyone coming in and then it can be sold off. Fledge has an interesting point that he said in the chat. He said everything from here on out should be sold in their token, which I think would be interesting, although the token does seem still pretty far away as far as where it is on the roadmap.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my biggest thing with the land is, okay, what's the use case? What's the utility? What's the income generating mechanic? If it's just a place to chill in the metaverse, it's not as enticing to me. But if it's like, well, I need a collection of land to put my racetrack on, and my racetrack can make me money, then you're starting to speak my language.
Well, can we put barns on it?
The other thing is then what if they cross over into the actual play to earn aspect? I mean, it wasn't when we had Harvey on and we were talking about how long are they in the game, screen time, what's going to get people in there? If you don't have race funds, you're not going to be in the game, right? For the most part.
Well, that was
So,
a
I mean, what could
conversation about free races and what to do with them. Should we keep in the long run? Is it too much of a stress on the ecosystem to just have the paid races paying for free races in WETH, or should eventually it turn into, you get tokens, or there's a leaderboard, or there's something a little bit more intuitive than just you get WETH for free races?
Right.
What were you trying to say, Josh?
What was I
Before
trying to
you
say?
got bulldozed?
What I was trying to say was for those out there that, from what Dave was saying, that if you need a certain amount of land in order to own a certain percentage of a track, or et cetera, or even own a track, if you only can buy or have one plot of land, what's going to keep, like, what's the point of it if you can't do anything with it? Like, if you can't get resources from it that can be used in game or exchanged in game.
Yeah,
that's where the tokenomics come in.
Can I stake my land or something? Like,
right.
Well, could you turn it into a virtual store? Like, could we turn it into a Coop Collective storefront, and where they could come in and buy certain merchandise?
Just it. The buildings, we don't know what we can do with the buildings yet down the road. All these, obviously the clubhouses and stuff, but I mean, you obviously aren't planning. I imagine they don't plan on stopping there. I mean, I imagine they have all sorts of ideas for buildings that you'll be able to put out in this place. And they even said bars and stores and like Win Chicken Marketplace. You can walk right into the chicken marketplace in the metaverse,
From my understanding, though, I think that these plots of land are going to be different than the track ownership, right? I mean, I don't
know.
I could connect them. We don't know.
I would imagine that the tracks are going to be the tracks are there. The land is there.
The ROI for the tracks makes the most sense, because obviously if you get a kickback on whatever's ran on that track, the owner of that track gets that. But when it comes to these plots of land that we're talking about, I don't know the use case like you're saying, unless they open it up to like whatever each individual owner wants to do. I mean, it could be infinite, as you wish type of land.
Well, that's why I'm saying you could cross into the play to earn aspect with your chickens. You just roam around with your chicken in the metaverse on your land, or send your chickens out to go, like with unicorns. You know how we would send them out into the
dark forest,
so they could get the shadow corn milk.
Sorry, did I bulldoze you there?
Always.
No, you helped that time.
That's all right.
I was doing so well. I was doing so well.
But this isn't bag hodlers. No unicorns.
Corns.
Right.
Bears.
That same theory could apply here, where you send your chicken out and it forages for chicken feed or anything that you can take into a marketplace in the metaverse and exchange it for the in-game token. Right.
Yeah, there are like limitless use cases that they could come up with, but if I'm going to pay whatever it might be 0.05 for a plot of land or something, I want to see how in maybe 6 months I've got a positive ROI on that piece of land.
And if it is track ownership in regards to that, then is that where that's a natural spot where you get fractional owning of a track? Or you would think maybe, or would one person have to own enough land to put a track on it, or could you actually come together? I mean, we'll have to find out.
Or it could be something to whereas like you literally we're talking about the tokenomics and stuff like that, where you have to get resources. What if your plot of land, you had a certain resource on there and somebody had to come in there and harvest whatever that resource was, and you got a cut of that?
What resource would you like on your land, Josh?
Mushrooms?
Well, I'm pretty sure these guys made a game called
he has big old piles of shit.
And
just big old piles of cow shit.
Farming weed.
Big old piles of cow shit with mushrooms that growing up underneath it is what he wants.
Take the boomers too, man. My chicken can do all sorts of things other than race. Casey Jones' eyes aren't bulging for a reason.
Maybe that's what they need to give him the extra boost.
You're right. So land, we have a lot to get into with land, and hopefully it's handled well. But ROI, something for it. I think the biggest thing that people even bother about the metaverse is just like, I can go into Discord and talk to people. I need a reason to be there. And I think they want to do that. And this kind of leads into something Hems just dropped into the chat and dropped a little bit of a nugget here that is kind of interesting, and I'm really happy for this, that this is something, because it's something that I've advocated for too, and really would have loved to see. He said, I did get a DM from Apex over the weekend in regards to ideas for a seasonal mode within the game, consisting of 3 to 4 seasons per calendar year, which would be based on points, or a qualifying system for the end of year championship event, which covers all distances, terrains, and heritages and whatnot. I think that's an absolute slam dunk moneymaker. I don't see any. If you're talking about trying to keep people on, giving people different reasons to be there, and giving people new goals instead of just nonstop racing and going, resetting the system. It's
Right.
huge, especially if it's like an all dork system. Now your dorks matter.
This makes me think of kind of like, and we brought things like this up before, is like we brought up the Madden analogy in the past, but it's like FIFA, right? Or any of these online seasons, right? Everything resets. So you have a certain score throughout that season. But again, you look at those, a lot of that is the class, right? You start off in class 10, and part of that screen time is wanting to rank up to that next class and that next level.
Yeah.
But
wasn't there a point about when we were talking in the chat? I'm not sure where this came from. There's so much information where it's like ranking up should be something that is like a rewarding thing.
Yeah. And you got to incentivize racing, like something like a season where it's like, okay, I need to get to a set number of points, for getting X podium finishes in A class to get into the A class end of season event. That incentivizes me to keep my bird in A, knowing that the A class end of season event is the biggest money prize pools that you're going to see in that quarter of the year or whatever it is. So I don't want to sandbag because I want a shot at that, whatever it might be, the big grand prize race at the end of the season.
So use another,
take that in all directions too. I mean, you could do
endless,
like last place point system to where all the last place finishes you get you into a special event at the end of the year where all the last place birds just go at it, and the winner takes
the lucky
all.
Loser racing event at the end.
The A-Bird event where it's 5, 6, 7, like that's the podium with 6 or 6 or 7 being the best one. It's endless.
My bird might actually be good in A if that was the case.
And maybe these are some of the answers that we're kind of coming up with that would limit the amount of classes they would have to have, because if you're incentivizing people to stay in a certain class, obviously that's going to benefit the overall game. But there's real world scenarios too. It's kind of like here in Oklahoma, where I'm from, in high school wrestling, in order to keep kids from bumping up to in certain weight classes, you have to wrestle a certain amount in that weight class in order to qualify for the state tournament. So you can't sandbag and wrestle a certain class, and then at the end of the year, all of a sudden decide you're going to drop down to the next weight class just for one tournament and try to dominate.
Well, it's like any class,
someone good,
any
or
point system in it's like think of racing. Like you can't race in the final race of the actual NASCAR. Like you got to have a certain amount of points to get into the
you got to qualify for the cup.
So I mean, you can take that and do things like that, and I think it's great. I mean, you got to have points to be in
it incentivizes staying in a class. It incentivizes screen time and race participation, and it gives value to you if you're not maybe like grinding at a positive ROI, but at least I'm picking up points maybe with that 4th or 5th place finish, and
here's an idea:
getting one step closer to an end of season event.
Oh, I've got
we've
just, I think.
We've just launched off of.
You take the classing system and put that as in like with the incentive of the classing system, and couple that with like we were talking about what we could do with land. Say if you have an A class chicken, what if your chicken can go out and get more items off the land?
I mean, that's getting deep now.
I'm just saying.
No, I know, but still, like that's not a problem.
Maybe that bird gathers better, or
if you're talking down the line, it's not that crazy when you really start thinking about the endless capabilities that can come from this if they're creative. And the seasons is the ultimate way to be creative. And you know, you can even set it up like majors and whatnot. Like it's just that's and huge shout out to Hems for dropping that in here. That's something that I've kind of just hoped they've given us something on. And I know that Hems has been in the chat kind of, you know, championing that idea a bit and obviously got some traction with it. It makes so much sense to me. Like, honestly, that really invigorates me to think like, yeah, this is how you reset everything over and over again.
Promotion and relegation, right?
Yeah, it's all right there. Like everything you want from a game that keeps you engaged each week, because yeah, racing can get a little tiring. That was something Crypto Poppy said a long time ago, when I think it was when either he was on our show or we went on his, and it was just like he was talking to his friends who were in Zed, and they said, "Are you having fun with Zed?" And they were like, "Not really. I mean, I enjoy it. It's a fix. It's fun, but is it fun? Like, are you really enjoying the whole thing?"
Right.
So
I hate
yeah,
everything about it, but I grind away.
yeah, but we're all
makes
gonna
money.
grind. We're all DJs. We're gonna grind
Yeah.
at this stuff. So, but
It's like, do I like playing DFS? No, but I
no,
like
but I'm
making
gonna
money
grind,
too.
right, Wally?
Are you making money?
No, but I'm gonna grind.
Am I
so
good
yeah,
at it? Not really, but sometimes
So,
I get lucky.
you add
Take
that
same
factor,
aspect.
like you add that factor into it, and you put different things that can be won. I mean, yeah, they're making these like this awesome ceramic chicken and the neon sign. Like these are things that can be won that they make. That's, you know, there can be like extra things on top of it that we try for, and, you know, trophy, all kinds of stuff. Like this is it just has infinite opportunities if you decide to embrace seasons, and that really, you know, that really gets me going.
Yeah, I
Pounding
like it
away,
To get you going.
pounding away.
Just get you.
I'll never
get
stop
you.
pounding if that's the
So
case.
loud.
Fire that.
So loud.
Get the jackhammer out. Anyway.
I'm settling. Thanks again, Hems. That's awesome, dude. I appreciate that
for
info.
real. Yeah, I think that's about it. Anyone else got anything you want to talk about this week? Race strategies, possibly?
Well,
anything we
last
got
thing
coming
Hems-
into? So we feel we're on the eve of open beta. What are you going to
Well,
go in tomorrow with?
Just real quick, last thing Hem says there is like it creates champions. It's like, yeah, we're going to remember like Memory Reset, because there's just going to be a novelty around that name for anyone that's been around, because he won the first huge race and he won a second one. But to actually have like champion, like next to your bird, think about the breeding there. If you can actually have a trophy.
I'll say
Yeah,
to this
that's
that
nuts.
a lot of my
Points
ideas
champion,
around the
track
tournaments, a lot of my ideas around some of the tournaments, season-long tournaments, have to do with what Hims is saying. So if the devs don't do it on their end, I think you'll see branches of certain things like this where people can create their own leagues and seasons, right? So,
and the truth is, people are going to want more of this. Like, and we're here for give you more. That's for sure. Whatever degen you got in your blood, we're just as bad. At least I am.
If I can put a side bet on top of my main bet, you know.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The rabbit hole, just
Oh,
falling
that's
down
awesome. That's awesome. I was hoping that would be something that pop up. So that's and we don't. It's not confirmed yet. It's just a DM, but that's a really nice step. That's something that really I'm happy to have heard in this.
Yeah, and it's another illustration of they are listening, they are watching, and of course Hems has been here. He's well invested, and he deserves to be listened to in that sense. But it's not just Hems that they're listening to. If you can actually articulate your idea and you've got something constructive that you're bringing to the table, they've shown that they're all ears to at least hear what you're thinking. They might glean a piece out of it and maybe not take the whole idea, but
that's the problem with my brain, is the articulate part. It just runs. I just don't know how to.
We got you.
It's just
you
a faucet open.
Just keep dumping it into corporate. We'll turn it into something.
So don't listen to anything I say. But yeah, the other guy. No.
Yeah, Blake's just a fire hose. And you got to narrow it down to his
air.
actual suggestion.
So on that note, segue just a little bit. Obviously, we're getting fired up now with open beta right around the corner. The website's going to start being regularly updated again, coopcollective.io. And if we have anyone out there that wants to take some of their data and put it somewhere and put it on the website. Anyone wants to write a little bit, anything like that, reach out. We're very open to promoting any kind of work, anything that anyone has, and they want a little bit extra platform, even if it's me just throwing out there and giving you a little bit of a signal boost on Twitter. Let us know. We're happy to have this whole thing be something that you can also be a part of, and to throw out there your thoughts, your ideas, and write for us and be a part of this whole thing. So yes, please reach out, no matter what it is. You got an idea, you got a thought, we're here. We're always listening.
Yeah. Or if you want a barn.
Or you want a barn.
I was getting into that. Tyler always likes to steal my lines.
You're welcome. You asked what we had coming up, so
I meant racing wise.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right. I'm gonna race.
If you're new here, don't forget like and subscribe to the show. You can check us out in the Coop Collective Discord, or at Coop Collective IO, or here on YouTube, or you can find us in the Chicken Derby Chicken Coop chat. I am at Grateful Coops. Oh yeah, we have barns, NFT barns, Coop Collective 548. That'll get you into the get you access to the exclusive 548 stud barn, which has some very nice chickens in there, and any upcoming tournaments that we may be having, which
soon as we can get public racing, it's coming.
Holder race tournament soon. As soon as we can know we got stability.
Free holder racing ones. I don't know if you said that. Free holding racing. Yes. Holders just want to reiterate.
Get free race tournaments.
Free to holders.
Yes.
The first one's coming soon. Yeah.
Soon. What else is
poker
coming
nights?
Soon?
We get poker nights. We might have to do one of those again here soon. People have been saying win poker.
I think we should play this time.
More poker. Yeah, literally.
I'm going to advocate for that this time.
More poker.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Win
bag hodlers.
Win bird entry poker.
Yeah, and actually,
dork. No.
Before we roll out, I guess we should talk officially, because I don't know how many people found their way to the second episode from last week's debacle.
Oh,
don't rug us, Josh.
Yeah,
his computer.
Yeah.
Well, we're running smooth tonight.
Yeah. But yeah, we will be launching out. We'll be branching out just a little bit more into another show. We'll be taking the meme of the Bag Holders podcast and making it real.
Yeah.
Because we want to talk about more stuff. We have people in the community with projects, and they want to talk about stuff. We have things we want to get into. We want to explore more things within this space. Chickens always the number one, but yeah, there's a lot of people even just in the community that have their own projects, and they want to talk about it. They want spaces. We want to get people that have been here from the go, that to give a little bit of a signal boost, and we're here for it. So we will be in the near future launching another platform. It'll all be within the Coop Collective. You won't have to join another Discord, nothing like that, and it'll be called the Bag Holders Podcast.
Yeah, that's been something we've been having on the back burner for a while now. Even like Tyler and I keep joking about it, Bag Holders podcast. But I mean, it's very much going to be a real thing, and we think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Get ready for 2 hours of Josh talking about unicorns and bears.
Yep.
Unicorns, bears.
Bulldozer this time, baby. Woo!
Chads. Oh yeah.
Chads, Karens.
Chads.
Josh was just casually texting. He goes, you don't have to drive both shows. I was like, say what you mean. Shut up, Tyler.
I want the light. No. No. Yeah, we'll be on the lookout for that. We'll probably open up a channel in the Discord soon, and that might even end up just changing the name of our other NFTs channel into the Bag Holders channel. Well, we don't know, because that's essentially what it'll be. Talk about any other project coming up, what's new, what's awesome, get some people on that are pretty cool, and talk to them about what they got going on.
We want to get you ready for the next bull run, which may be next week. It might be next year. I don't know. We're going to talk about it.
We're in a death
NFA.
Death? No, don't say death.
DYOR. Anyways, I am at Grateful Coops in the Discord. I have MBF Express above me. We have everyone's favorite dad at Pecking Order Racing up in the top left, and the man with all the theories, Water Racing Coops, down in the left corner. We are the Coop Collective, and we hopefully will be opening up with some races in the morning for everyone. See you next week. Bye.
See ya.
Bye. I am cool, Fledge.